Hello everybody, and welcome back to the LJL officially unofficial cast. We just had an amazing game by Crest Gaming Act versus Axis. That was a team fight, potentially for the whole split. I've got it clipped with 100%. That is just amazing to watch again. I've watched it back already twice during our break. I was that infatuated about it. It was just so glorious to watch, and really it could have gone any way if things were done a little bit differently, honestly.
Written it off, right? We thought CGA would stomp it, and like Axis came into the week looking a little bit suspect. Won their first game and went, okay, maybe this game will be more competitive. It was way more than just competitive. That was nail-bitingly close.
Once again, they had like the run of the map for a lot of that game. There was the 2v2 kill, well, the 2v2 1-for-1 down in bot lane, and we're thinking, ooh, actually, I didn't think that was going to be a 1-for-1. And then Hoglet came in and cleared up Gango.
Yeah, that's right.
Down, and I was like, ooh, this is actually quite interesting now. And then Lysandra came into these team fights and was just really high value for the side of Axis. But then just like, once again, kind of like we saw in the Burning Core game, the duo of Area and Gango just like proved 9-killable, putting out ridiculous amounts of damage and kind of just choking out the game.
Yeah, I'll be interested to see what their DPM averages are at.
Going to
Actually,
be
because they're utterly insane over a couple games.
Yeah.
Average.
But commiserations to Axis. They put up a very good fight, and they are actually looking far better than a last place team in all of our eyes, I believe. I'm confident in saying. And
that's been true of quite a number of teams. I'm not entirely sure who I would put last at the minute, because there's a number of teams who are now 1-4, 1-3.
We've got 3 teams currently now in that X and 1 and X bracket. So there's still a lot of things to play for. Obviously, by the end of this week, we'll hopefully have a slightly better idea. But it's far more important to probably start talking about our next game that we're going to be going into. And we're going to be seeing Crest Gaming Act again versus V3 Esports. Now, Crest obviously are one of our X and 1 teams, the opposite way around. They have won all their games except for 1, whereas V3 are one of our middle of the pack teams, currently at 2-2. Going into this, I'm kind of interested to see what V3 can do personally, because Crest have already started to prove themselves, whereas V3 have played a bit, some of the good teams not done so good, played some of the lesser good teams and done very well. So I'm not really sure how to judge them personally.
Well, so we discussed this bit on our podcast, so plug number 5. So I thought that this game would be really good as a benchmark for V3. So if you look at V3, they're currently 2-2. They lost against DFM, and I think they also lost against Sengoku, right?
Yep.
I think that they played against them. And this was Sengoku playing like one of their better drafts. They've kind of gone they're a bit coin flippy on their drafts, but DFM are obviously one of, outright now on form, the best team in the LJL so far. They're currently undefeated. But then they played against Burning Core and Axis, which are arguably 2 of the weaker teams. We saw Axis have a great week this week, but in their first week, they weren't looking so.
And their second week, in all honesty.
Yeah, so it's basically this week where they've really turned it around. So for me, it's now a question of V3, you've played against some of the best, some of the worst. Where do you slot into the middle here? Because you're currently 2-2. CGA are a hard opponent to work against, right? We've seen them just have a fantastic game here. But as my co-caster was saying, at the end of the game, it was kind of a tale of 2 halves, right, for the team CGA. They had 2 carries doing very well, and then also like Yoshi and Grendel not doing so great. V3, I think that their best player is Boogie, their jungler. I think that he could potentially win the game through jungle difference, and that's what I'm looking for. So I think CGA really hopped up on this last win, but do not get cocky.
Yeah, I mean, like, we also be aware that Boogie has been willing to pick things like Diana and Echo, which are not kind of the
meta.
Well, we've seen a little bit of Echo now, just a little bit. And we've seen a couple of Diana games, but it's edge of the meta, right?
Yes.
And these are picks that are carries for the jungle rather than just sort of early game snowballs. Yeah. And if Boogie can run over Yoshi and then get fed and be another carry threat on the side of V3, I could see CGA falling down in this game.
Yeah, and you heard that here. So our matchup to watch for this game is going to be Yoshi versus Bengi. Obviously, it's going to be really interesting to also see a game. I did it wrong.
As he knows which one it is.
Yeah, we're bringing out the jungle himself back to play in the LJL of all teams.
He has replaced. He's been substituted in to replace the X-Flash Wolves jungler. They've gone out, much like in Game 4, 2016 semi-finals versus Rocks Tigers. The new SKT of the LJL have decided they're going to sub in Bengi. It's great. You can play Nidalee now as well.
So we have also a really interesting matchup. It's going to be Nap versus Paz. Obviously, these are two very long-time veterans of the LJL facing off against each other, which is also a very exciting matchup personally for me to watch. And I think that jungle diff that potentially is going to be relevant might come actually relevant in some of the veterans of these teams, and it might be topside based for once.
This was the semi-final top lane matchup as well
between
Crest Gaming and V3 last season. So there is some history there, some recent history as well. So Paz came out on top of that matchup, we kind of all agreed, in the semi-finals, but Nap was not without sparks of brilliance. He picked out Shen against Paz and played very well around the bottom back from that. Nullified a lot of his picks, even though Paz had some real pop-off games on Camille and Renekton, although both of those champions a bit lower priority nowadays.
I could still see him picking up something like a Camille, and Apperman has already proven you can draft a Yorick and win through that pick. So maybe the man decides it's time to put Nap back to sleep, and we're finding quite a few of these today. I'm quite proud of that, and sort of carry from that top side this time around.
Okay, but with that in mind, I think it's about time that we get into this game and really see what the teams decide to pick and ban and then play on the Rift. So as always, I'll count us in 3, 2, 1. Good luck to both of these teams.
Thank you, Mass Swan, and we are into Champ Select. So for Crest Gaming Act, in the top side, it's Nap. In the jungle, Yoshi, mid lane, Arya, and Gango Grendel holding the fort down in the bot lane.
And for the first time today, we have V3 over on the red side. Top lane is Paz, jungle Boogie, mid lane Ace, bot lane Archer, and support Reina.
And Syndra Rumble taken off the board again for Crest Gaming Act. I believe they were the first two bans they put through in the last game too. But Akali and Aphelios taken away from Gango, who just had such a good performance last game.
I think that Aphelios should be banned more against CGA. I think Gango has more than proved the value of himself piloting that pick. And as you're saying, the Syndra and the Rumble bandweight, they're both really strong mid-game team fighting picks, which is where CGA really like to play around. And you know what? I'm really looking forward to see that if this game Arya will pick out pick number 5. We've seen 4 picks so far in 5 games. Only picked the LeBlanc twice.
But the Bounty Hunter and de facto ruler of Bilgewater taken off the boards. Misfortune no longer available for play.
Yeah, so what this means now is that Senna is the last real S-tier AD carry. So we'll see if CJ want to put any massive priority on that. Obviously, Jarvan not banned yet either. It is the set as the last ban from V3. So there are a couple of high priority picks being let through into the first pick spot. It's actually the Nautilus being hovered. Grendel has definitely deferred to that pick.
Yeah, he's found some great hooks. He's also died with some seriously aggressive positioning too.
Yeah, so obviously last game his KDA wasn't stellar. I think that's not necessarily always the player. I think that the composition he was playing into was very good at picking off people out of Fog of War. He fell prey to that quite a bit. Obviously it's a bit embellished as well because the KDA was pretty bad.
But on the other side, Elise has been let through the draft, and Boogie certainly knows how to play this, and that paired up with Paz could be a really scary pairing.
Yeah, so we were talking about how we thought that jungle was going to be the matchup to watch, particularly in my eyes anyway, and I think that giving Boogie the chance to play through topside with something like an Elise, the Ornn locked in alongside it, which is a flex pick between mid and top lane, but normally we assume it is going to go top unless there's a specific matchup they want to pair it into. And yeah, so on the other side, we see the Jarvan being harbored, very high priority jungler.
But, Yoshi thinking about defaulting back to this Trundle though. Had an okay game on that pick, but did get blown up a lot. Okay. But this time, at least he's got more than aftershock targets to subjugate.
This means that you can deal with the Ornn a little bit better coming into these team fights as well. But yeah, Yoshi did struggle a little bit to perform as the front line in that last game, so perhaps looking to, have a bit of a step up from that last game, which we'd all enjoy, I think.
Indeed. See what Aria will pick here as the last pick for
Is the
CGA. They've
Cho'Gath
gone
pick.
towards the Cho'Gath. Nap had
Yeah.
a great game on that. Well, towards the latter stages, particularly some key ruptures, some key body blocks kept Gango alive in some of those critical
Yeah.
late game team fights.
And actually, because of the Vorpal spikes, the E coming in from the empowered auto attacks of the Cho'Gath, you're actually pretty good at killing tanks as
Yeah,
well.
you are.
So I think that this could actually be a tale of two team fighting top laners.
And of course, it's all well and good diving in as an Elise, but if you get knocked up with a rupture, silenced with a feral scream, and then feasted, you're not really going to survive all that long.
You know, actually, I think this is the first time we haven't seen a single AD carry picked in the first round of picks.
Interesting. Does that mean we're going to see more AD carry bans? I think specifically from V3 because, of course, they've got first pick available.
They
so,
do, yeah.
I mean, of course, you've also got to remember that Gango plays Draven.
I think that
has
might be a
proven
ban.
that he's
Might be a
more
ban.
than willing to play like even into the likes of an Ornn or an Elise or a Thresh. He's done
Is
that.
the LeBlanc banned out first, though?
Yeah, you can't give Aria that.
Yeah, he's shown that he's just very proficient on that pick. I would actually be quite happy to see something like a Lucian coming out of Aria. I think that
Nocturne away from Ace.
Yes, that was picked by him in their second game in week 1 versus Axes. They played it with Echo. It was a super dive comp. So yeah, actually not heading towards the AD carry bans. Maybe they think that there's not too much threat coming from that role right now. Well, I mean, there's stuff like
still available.
Senna's available, which is the last S tier pick, although it doesn't necessarily work with all compositions. I think if you go for that in V3's comp, they take objectives really slowly unless they pick something like a Cassiopeia from the mid lane.
Draven,
Draven ban,
sensible
yeah.
ban.
So I think the why Draven ban is good here is that they don't play it themselves. It's not taking away anything. It's not like they're trading any picks. So the Draven is just a straight target pick at Gango.
What's Senna like into the likes of Trundle and Cho'Gath?
So if you get caught by the Trundle Pillar into a knockup and all the other stuff, then you do get burst down pretty quickly. You're okay at killing tanks into the late game, particularly if you get something like Last Whisper into the late game as well. Actually, it's the Varus being hovered right now, which is one of the other picks there. Yeah, we keep talking about hovers. We won't obviously say anything until it's locked in. It's actually looking like it's the Xayah locked in.
Rakan is still available, and the support has probably been picked for CGA, unless of course they want to pull a DoMB and put the Nautilus mid.
Well, I mean,
that
Thresh
means...
has been picked by V3, so it won't be the Xayah Rakan lane.
Of course, sorry, I
for,
apologise.
V3.
Yeah, that Thresh has been drafted already.
Yeah, so I think one of the problems about Senna is that she can't peel for herself as effectively as into a lot of these really tanky front lines. You do have the W for the root and stuff, but you do have the Feather Caller for
Kalista for Gango.
For the Xayah, and yes, it is Kalista. Right. So what this does mean is that if you use your Kalista ultimate to chuck your support into the enemy team, that is just another form of engage, which does mean that it's not just looking for the Nautilus hooks.
Arya returns to the Zoe, in which he kind of blew up the SoftBank Hawks with. And Grendel going to be feeling a little bit safer this time around. Can face chuck the way he was doing so aggressively in the previous game, but has a Fate's Call to pull him out of trouble.
Fate's
and throw him
Call,
back into it, potentially, if he needs to.
Yeah,
Ace thinking about potentially going back to this Jace in the mid lane, which has shown once before.
Yes, has been shown before. Actually had a very good KDA on that Jace, but found it hard to affect the game. I think he went 4-1 and 5 in a loss on that Jace. I'm trying to remember which team it was against. But actually some very unique team compositions coming out of both teams here, actually. So I think it's really Boogie with the ability to affect the early game as opposed to Yoshi on this Trundle. I feel like he needs to try and blow open one of these lanes just to make sure that they have an area of the map that they're not getting pushed in on. I feel like Kalista is actually quite a strong laning champion right now, but we'll see if Reyna and Archer can start trying to land hooks onto that Kalista. Notoriously difficult with the martial poise of Kalista, making a jump around with like the little bunny.
Yep.
I'd love to see a bunny Kalista skin. That'd actually be hilarious.
It would be quite entertaining.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if they do that kind of skin, but we'll find out.
I mean, they did it Cottontail Teemo. Just do like Cottontail Kalista.
Cottontail Kalista. I mean, we have got Battle Bunny Riven, I suppose.
Yeah, and they did Cottontail Fizz as well.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's very true. She could take that back.
Yeah, there are a number of.
She could
them.
throw carrots for spears.
She could just be
Yes.
Well, it's like the carrot and the stick.
Do you have like little sound effects when she bounces around as well, like little spring noises?
Of course.
That would be so obnoxious and so wonderful. It'd be like the Cowbell Alistair skin, but all over again.
It would be wonderful, and it would be completely not fitting in the theme of Kalista, which is exactly what I love from skins.
It's like the really cute recall dance that Bang had for Kalista when he got that Vodka as well.
Yes.
It was pretty adorable. But let's actually talk a little bit more about the team cons. Ace actually went with the cleanse mainly to survive the bubbles that may well be landing from Arya, who has been a bit of a sniper on this Zoe pick in previous games.
So obviously Nap is returning to this Cho'Gath, and I think we're going to see more of this pick as the LJL goes on. I think that we saw here that eventually Cho'Gath becomes a very competent frontliner in the way that Ornn sometimes can't do, because he has that initial disruption of the ultimate and the Ornhorn, the Call of the Forge God, but Cho'Gath just kind of has that that threat of the kill pressure from the feast.
But we come into game and we're straight into a pause. Is Mass1 available? Does he want to join us?
I am available. I am indeed.
Everybody, so we're into a game pause. Where are your thoughts on the draft so far?
Personally, I like Crest slightly more, but it's not enough where I'm definitively saying that, oh, well, Crest should just kind of win this game just through their comp alone. It's my kind of takeaway, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, I think that Arya had like just a very, very good performance on the Zoe.
Yes.
The last time he took that out.
We were undefeated, didn't die.
Didn't die, yeah. And we're actually back into game as well.
Oh,
Do you have any last thoughts on this to leave us with as we ponder it over the count?
I just love how Nap is running the back-to-back Cho'Gath, personally.
I agree.
I like that too. I think that Nap has been... So I don't think he's necessarily as good on the bruisers as he is compared to the tanks. I think last season his Shen was the real pick, which impressed me. And I think that if he does have this Cho'Gath, which allows you to be both a front line and bring something a little bit different to the team as well, I think you'll thrive.
All right then, good having you, Mass1, but we'll leave you and we'll go back to casting. But we say that and the pause comes straight back in. So never mind, stick around. I know it's the day after Valentine's Day and we're playing with your heart here, telling you to go.
My achy breaky heart.
Yeah,
I just don't think you'd understand.
I can't let that go. Achy breaky. I mean, what kind of phrasing is that?
I mean, it's a song. Billy Ray Cyrus. Don't break my heart, my achy breaky heart.
There you go. I should know that.
I just don't think you understand.
Maybe they should make a Cho'Gath skin, which is Eat Your Heart Out Cho'Gath.
Yo, I'd be up for that.
I mean, I really want more of the music skins. I want Cho'Gath Eat World. I want that to I want that Emimu post, Emimu poster to be a thing.
Are there any other skins? Because obviously you were mentioning Callista with a bunny version or variant.
It's kind of you can't rush brilliance. This creativity comes, it's like a flowing river. Kind of sometimes it has actually rivers don't have high and low tides. Like, I mean, maybe there's rainfall.
If it's a tidal river.
Sure.
We're not that far away from the river Thames. That definitely goes up.
Oh, that does.
I'm gonna throw it out there. I know next to nothing about rivers, so this time it's we've had a bit of a high tide of our skin ideas in this river of creativity. Right now, it's I need to have a bit of time to think about the other ones.
Yeah. The river of information that runs through your brain is very. It's only the one channel, and it's filled with League of Legends knowledge. There's not all that much.
We're back into game, lads. We're back in.
We are.
Yes, we are.
All right. We'll see you around, Mass1. Hopefully after the game. Hopefully no more pauses come through and the issues have been resolved.
Yeah, I mean, I would have gone for, how like this little devil team, I would have had that for Zoe as well. But we've already got like the evil Star Guardians.
It's very Madoka Magica, I grant you. Or Madoka,
yes,
sorry, I pronounced that very British there.
Madoka.
No, right, from up north, are we?
Wow, that's
right.
Yeah, and never shall we ever bring out that accent again.
Right, moving away from off-brand northern accents, let's get back into the game. We can sort of see some win conditions around. We've of course got this Jace poke kind of matching the Zoe. We've seen Elise who's got to want to get things done early, and Xayah is pretty safe. Yeah. But on the other side, massive engage options from CGA with the Nautilus and the Fates call, and a lot of poking from Zoe who can blow someone up.
Yeah, and I think that actually CGA is slotting into a 1-4 composition pretty well with the Cho'Gath on the side lane.
Yeah, very true.
I think once Cho'Gath probably wants to get a Bramble Vest to try and survive against a Jace if that's the matchup that he's into as well. But just a couple of items, probably something like the Abyssal Mask as well. We'll see whether he goes towards the Righteous Glory earlier, but then eventually this Cho'Gath becomes almost immovable in the side lane.
Yeah, but then how does Jace, once sort of hit the mid-game hits and Cho'Gath has a couple armor items, how on earth does Jace ever really truly split push versus that champion?
Oh, he doesn't.
Well, yeah, okay, so that could be a risk. We'll see how Ace pilots this Jace.
Oh, we actually see Trundle making a very early path up towards this top lane.
Yeah, but of course, Ornn can break terrain, so I'm not sure how effective that pillar will be, but the slows there. And actually, Nap's got a Rupture available.
Oh, the flash follow!
That's so damn good, but it's not going to be quite enough. Pass is so low, and he's just dead.
Oh, that was next level from Nap. He does the flash predict on the Rupture there to get the first kill onto Paz. Hadn't leveled up either Searing Charge yet. That's a fantastic first kill onto the side of CGA.
And I thought that Bella's Breath was going to be more, but I was just really off. Fantastically well played. It is 2 flashes for 1, so there is chance for Boogie to turn up there. In fact, never mind, he's turned up straight away in this mid lane. Arya being forced away, but that's the end of that. That's a decent shock blast coming through from Ace, but no more to be spoken of. And fantastic first blood.
Oh, that was so good. I'm so happy with that kind of early pathing. Obviously, Yoshi, we've had a couple of our reservations about him, but no, actually fantastic being able to get that first kill onto that top side of the map. And it's something which Matt Swan was talking about in the pregame as well, saying actually maybe the difference will realize itself in the top lane, actually, in this very studied matchup between old foes.
Indeed, and we'd given the advantage to Paz in previous times, but actually this time around, Nap plays that really well. Of course, as we said, there is a flash lost for both the jungler and the Cho'Gath, and Elise, with all that early pressure that she does have to use, can definitely come back and punish that. So we'll see whether that's something they decide to do. But up until now, great first blood, early couple 100 gold lead, and pleasant start for the side to Crest Gaming Academy.
Absolutely. On the top side, at least. On the bottom side, actually, we found that the Xayah and Thresh lane has been managing to push into CGA's lane. Arya picking up a GLP and, trading as so he does. But yeah, because Yoshi showed himself early on the top side of the map, it meant that the rest of the map had to play very reserved around the bottom side, and it has led to a loss in pressure.
It has, and it's led to about a 10 CS lead, but I called it earlier. Boogie is trying to find his way into the lane up top, but Yoshi is doing the same in bot. And as V3 have been quite hard pushing down here, this could end up being a bit painful. But no, just hit up. That's a good hook. So actually running through now in the frozen domain is Yoshi. Has got the pillar. Reyna is forced to flash. But it's a hook back onto Grendel. They're thinking about turning around. Yes, they are. That's a decent route now from Archer, but end of that trade. Boogie, however, is here for a dive. Nap has no flash. That's a decent silence, but it's not able to flash in for this Elise, who's got a venomous bite to shut that down, and a repel to clean up the turret aggro. Paz survives on a sliver of HP too, but it does mean that Infernal Drake will be the cost of that dive.
Yeah, and Boogie finds the opening in the top lane. Will be a handful of minions lost to the tower here for Nap. Does have the ability to teleport right back up to it, though, as Yoshi takes this Infernal Drake. So actually, a good trade in pressure and plays across the map. Yoshi managing to find the first kind of chink in the armor.
We've got a teleport coming in. This would be quite aggressive. It's going to be a 3v3 because Yoshi's hit but on lower HP. Paz taking a lot of damage but knocking up Grendel. But that's a missed death sentence. But Yoshi's got a lot of damage but throwing through. But the heal is there. Boogie is here as well, as is Ace. They have a lot of ways to work. Incoming Lantern. They've got Cocoon. Flash away. Keeps the bot lane safe.
So, at the end of all this, the net gain is a Dragon for CGA and the teleport lost for Paz, who's going to lose a full wave to the tower, arguably losing more than Nap did in this dive here as well, because he was actually alive for a lot of those minions going down. Actually, that's not true at all. But he managed to teleport back and get some of that wave as well. Sometimes I just I say something and I'm like, wait, I'm talking some crap here.
Yeah, that's I appreciate the humility honestly, with the analysis.
It comes with my territory, Sometimes you got to take the L there. But yeah, so actually, what this leads to is a 15 CS lead for the Cho'Gath up in the top lane. Kind of going to go down to about a 10
CS lead in the mid lane.
Yeah, and it's a 10 CS lead for Arya in the mid lane as well. We've seen him lane pretty effectively in all of his different picks as well, really showing that he can abuse his strengths on this champion.
But Archer is actually out to a fairly significant lead of 10 CS himself down on that bot side. Has picked up the BF sword just to Berserker Greaves of Callisto. And of course, that attack speeds up the martial points. But Paz is walking into Yoshi. Does have a 2-level advantage.
Well, actually,
so
just beside the attack speed. So when you get tier 2 boots as Callisto, your jump range increases as well.
Range as well.
Yeah, so the actual length of your martial poise jump does increase with your level of boots. So that's why you do often see first buy boots onto the Callisto. It also means that you just easier to dodge skill shots and all the other stuff. So bubble lands in mid lane, trade.
And Boogie's around. We'll see how it goes. He's heading towards, Vision in this river is currently what he's heading towards. But gonna go for a quick invade. Finds a control ward. He's gonna clean that Vision out.
Yes, he is. Okay, and we're left at actually even gold coming into this early portion of the game. Good dematerializer there to just make sure that cannon does go over to the way of Gango through the relic shield.
Yep, but we're looking at Boogie continuing to invade. I'm just about ready to smite this away. Might have to. No, I'm going to just auto it down. I half wondered whether Grendel or Yoshi would come through and contest that. But
It could have got a bit messy.
But it means that there is now a dive being set up on this bot side, and there are very few summoners available for CGA's bot lane. Gango and Grendel thinking about backing up, but there is a Fate's Call available, and Yoshi is here on this Crux.
Maybe this is the answer to Grendel's KDA issues. Maybe you just draft a Callista, which means that your support doesn't die.
Yeah,
maybe that's the answer.
V3 back away. I mean, that was kind of what I was thinking. Right? It was like just the fact that he can now face check the way he wants to, and still be pulled away to safety, despite his propensity to go a little bit Leroy Jenkins.
I mean, okay, so it is a joke, but it does mean that you do have some larger limits of threat that you can kind of put yourself into as a support, being able to, have that yank out by the Callista.
Yep, of course, Ace down that CS, probably due to that roam bot that burnt the flash from Grendel.
Yeah.
But it has led, of course, to that CS we were talking about in mid lane. And Arya, pretty content there with his Ignite and his Electrocute, a lot of damage, and that's a Lantern out, so no more of that trading from Gango there.
Yeah. So one thing about this Callista is that it is going lethal tempo, not the Halo Blaze that we sometimes see for the early lane pressure and the good kind of opening burst into a lot of the trades that you do sometimes see from this lane. Callista is normally seen as a lane dominant pick, but that is normally predicated around the fact that you do get that early pressure. And as we said, because Yoshi had been focusing around the top side, didn't really culminate in much in the bot side.
Yeah, and I kind of want to talk about something we've not really mentioned as of yet, because CGA's roster, one of the major win conditions is just their incredible objective control between a Callista, a Cho'Gath, and a Trundle Smite, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's something which doesn't go amiss. Obviously, Callista has much less objective control than she used to have. Her E does half damage to monsters, which does mean that, epic monsters anyway, which means that you don't really get the same 1,500 smite burst that you used to get back in the day. It was, back in Season 5, that's why we have the World's Championship skin from that year as well. Just a very, very good pick, as you were saying about the objective control. Very relevant, you are right.
And we'll see whether they can continue to compete with those objectives, because maybe, despite the fact that I suppose Callista with her slightly shorter range just has to step into Zaya's feathers, which could be a little bit risky for her.
You can jump out of the way of them though, unless there's a flash committed by the Zaya.
But it requires a little bit of outplaying, I suppose.
Yeah, it does, and I would imagine that this game, that Gango at some point will pick up a QSS, probably going into the Mercurial Scimitar.
We'll see an engage here, Dredgeline lands, and we're looking at a fight goes in, but he's going to have to be Fate's called out. No, just goes to the stopwatch. But Gango is dancing around. He's got a lot of stacks, and look at that rend damage.
Yeah, Gango turning around actually a pretty bad trade there.
Ace and Arya trading back. So much damage. Ace nearly going down, but Boogie is here to contest, but Yoshi is as well.
Yeah, Arya just flexing the muscles there with the amount of damage he's got at level 9. Maxed out that Paddle Star, obviously.
Another rupture in the top side, and actually 2 summoners to 1 burnt in the bot side between V3 and CGA. CGA coming out slightly on top there.
Oh, good trade by Nap, actually.
Another good rupture, but this means that Crest Gaming are going to be getting an Ocean Drake down here, having burned the Summoners and the Zaya ultimate as well, actually. The Featherstorm went down.
Yeah, and I actually think that this Ocean Drake is pretty important, just because it means that the Cho'Gath can really never now be displaced from a side lane. Normally, I'd say the single cloud Ocean Drake is kind of whatever, and there will obviously be only one this game, and as you're saying, it is the Cloud Rift as well. But this is very important for the side lane of Nap as the further we get into this game. He looks like he's probably going towards the Righteous Glory into this as first item as well. Gives you that speed up going into team fights.
Yeah, and where are people's win conditions sitting at the minute? The gold is still very even. It's a 300 gold lead for V3. But that's kind of relatively inconsequential, and we're seeing a big objective lead for CGA on the other side.
I think CGA's win condition is get to objectives first, kill the objective, get to Dragon Soul, get to everything else, right? I think that it is a very relevant point. You're talking about objective control from the side of CGA. It's not something which I mentioned immediately during the draft, but it is such an important thing during this game. There's a lot of people here.
V3, they don't know Elise is in that area, and she just blows up the Trundle. So well played from Boogie, and there's a teleport coming in as well. Grendel flashes away rather. That would be an unusual teleport choice. But there's more people here. That's a fantastic rupture, and Boogie takes a lot of damage.
Yeah, so the important thing here now is that Ace is making his way down to the bot lane quicker than Arya. So I think that this... the
coming on, and that's another dredge line. Boogie destroys the Callisto, and Grendel's in a lot of trouble, but they're under tower. That's a 2 for none under this tower dive, and they're getting out of V3, but Arya is here, gonna throw as much damage as he can. It's not enough. Oh, no, he's got the Drowsy. Can Nap get to him? He's got the rupture, but it's not enough damage. He's got the feast. Yes, no, he's got silence, but no one can get here. here. Nap and Arya desperately trying to pick something at the end of
Arya!
a massive amount of damage, but not quite enough.
Oh, the Spiderlings
Flashes
tanking.
burn.
The Spiderlings tanking up the last paddle star there. Ends up in what, a 3 for none there at the end of it?
2
Arya
for
looking
0.
for
2
blood,
for
though.
0. But we're looking, I think a 2 for 0. We'll look over in the replay.
Well, I think
3
that
for 0, I'm being
Gango,
told by
Grendel,
Michael
and
Dieter.
Yoshi all died in here. So this is
Wow.
just messy as all hell here. We see Yoshi walking up. Boogie is unspotted here. Grendel misses the hook, doesn't get the aftershock. Cocoon lands onto Yoshi before the subjugate comes down and just gets popped. Grendel flashes away, actually without the Fate's Call being used there. I thought that might have been used instead of the Nautilus Flash there instead. A bit of a larger cooldown. And by this time, we see that Ace has made it down. The Cocoon lands onto the Callista. Doesn't manage to hop out of the way of that and is subsequently deleted. It's a good Nautilus ult to knock up 3 into the turret, and there's a lot of turret shots taken, gets a lot of people low, but nothing managed to get cleaned up by CGA. Herald summoned
have taken the Herald summoned it top. Plates are still available for about 10 seconds. Hopefully they can get the charge off, but we'll see. Gonna get one off. Are they in range for turret plates though? No, they're not. So they don't get the gold from that. Forced away by V3, but they do at least get damage onto that top
that's
side.
like 240 gold denied. I don't think it's the worst thing ever. Obviously, you're not losing a kill for that. You don't really want to give that up. But it does get the chunk onto the side lane, which is pretty nice going into the mid game where you're trying to get positioning around the second Herald.
But this is the second early game in a row where CGA have come out the worse for wear. Of course, Arya is still pretty strong. We saw that in that last fight. Desperately close to getting some kills. The blue buff resets on him.
Yeah,
that's gonna feel a bit frustrating.
Well, yeah. So Yoshi kind of ordered it before the paddle star propped the sleep, and then it kind of reset the aggro. It was a little bit awkward there.
That's not great. Grendel, however, in this bush on a control ward, they're gonna try and repay the favor that Boogie did to them in the bot side.
We might see a Fate's Call come in here to initiate a fight.
We might well do.
Just because Yoshi has found his way up into the top lane.
Paz is going to claim this first turret in the bot side, does it there, and that puts V3 up to about a 2,000 gold lead. Yeah. As that ticks over for CGA.
Yeah, and
but Yoshi is here, hidden in this alcove. Reyna off to the side does have the lantern. Do CGA go in on this? So they've got a good dredge line there. The flay is okay from Reyna, but the depth charge is here as well. And that's a stopwatch, but there's a pillar
so much damage.
And that's a Fate's Call that's going to have to drag this Nautilus away on such low HP. And actually, V3 come out significantly. But Arya's here! Look at that damage, and that's a sleepy bubble as well. They're going to be in so much trouble. Can Arya get? He's got the flash as well. No, the minion way tanks it. Arya doesn't get that through. Bad play from him.
And actually, a flash from both the mid lane and the AD carry of CGA means that
it's going to be a trade for the mid lane turret.
It's going to be a trade for the mid. It's going to be a turret in the top lane anyway because of the chunk anyway. But the mid lane outer is always a very prized objective. Means that you do get more priority over the objective fights, and we do see a Cloud. I don't think they got the minion wave to manage that, but they do have the priority now to push up and try and get some positioning around the Cloud Drake. And Callista is still topside, so I'm actually not sure if CGA can commit to this objective.
Be a little bit. They have been stacking Drakes pretty well so far, so this would be a change in fortune for V3. Have been playing this early game pretty spectacular. And Boogie 3-0-1 is the instigator and architect of a lot of this early game success.
Yeah, and this is part of the reason we were talking about why we thought that jungle difference might end up becoming very effective this game, and Boogie has been showing up in some style. So what we see here is that Reyna just kind of sees this play coming, stands back, lands the CC for the aftershock, has the stopwatch to buy time as well, and Archer very, very nearly taking down
time for the aftershock before the feather pullback.
Yeah, he does, and just because he was already locked in place by it so much as well. Arya very, very close to tricking up another kill here. Doesn't quite thread the needle on the minions there, although I'm pretty sure you can't with this length, with the size of the paddle star. Interesting hitbox on that ability.
If he put the ignite down there, I think he might have got the kill actually.
Maybe. I'm actually not sure how much.
We're seeing another fight that's another sleepy bubble landing, and Arya, whether or not his team is struggling, is putting down some pretty meaningful damage. Has got himself a Ludens, some Sork boots, and one of them their Dark Seals, which he stacks up pretty well, does
Yeah,
this
well,
mid laner.
you like having the Dark Seal Corrupting Pot combo because it means that you get more healing out of the pot there. Grendel
Another
looking
fight,
for a
but
hook.
Boogie gets a good hook onto this Elise, but does have repel. He's on top of a
Oh,
lantern, but
this
it's not
is
enough, and
bad.
Reina is so dead. No stopwatch this time. Elise comes back down, and the
Oh,
early game that
no.
had been going so well is suddenly going the wrong way. It's a double kill for the Callista and a
that's-
600 bounty.
Yeah, that's like 900 gold into the pocket of Gango, who is
Just
going to
half the
accelerate.
gold
Yeah,
lead.
it's gonna like accelerate.
Going
him
for
towards his
dive.
next
Nap
item.
is here with the Righteous Glory. Is in behind. Ice is there, but they're forced away from this mid lane tier 2 as well. And that's going to be an Ornhorn call. Try to turn this around.
Oh,
but it's
good
5
damage.
feet or 3v5. But look at Paz's damage. Ornn is an assassin. I will never be told otherwise. But look
Oh,
at the damage
chomp.
from Nap. Because Cho'Gath is 2. Comes in with a very, very hungry Cho'Gath.
Okay, so
And he has come out of his caterpillar cocoon, transformed into a beautiful, monstrous butterfly. And he is so very hungry.
Oh no, it is the very, very hungry caterpillar is Nap, and he just noms down on the angry goat of Ornn. Doesn't survive through that fight. One thing which was kind of sad there is that the Fate's Call was available for Grendel, isn't able to be used there, and Grendel does go down for his second death of the game. But at the end of this, at least the mid lane turret is still alive for V3, but now there is only a 500 gold lead, so a quarter of the lead they had about a minute ago.
Yeah, and I believe that was just a 1-for-1. The top lane is showing why their champions are, in fact, not just tanks, but Boogie. Ooh, just repels up. He's going to come straight back down on top of that. No, not quite. Is able to escape from that.
Yeah, no one ready to follow up from CGA there on very different areas of the map, just looking for a poke combo, of which V3 get away from unscathed.
Yeah, just about. Elise gonna feel a little bit sheepish about that death and giving over quite a lot of gold to Callista that had actually been struggling up until that point.
Yes.
But Boogie has got himself double flat pen, a runic echoes, and a chilling smite. Is more than ready to prove that Elise is worth the ban.
Yeah, I'm actually wondering if Gango goes immediately for a QSS here instead of the Hurricane. Hurricane giving you a lot more of that wave clear when you get up to a wave, and a lot of this game will be, once again, as we've been saying a lot over the last week, about getting to the objective first, getting priority, and then setting up for the objective. CJ's team in particular, because they want to start stacking up Rend stacks, and then threaten with the Rend and the Feast onto an objective.
Gango still hasn't backed, having taken those 2 kills, so he's still got a lot of gold in pocket, I want to say, actually. So I'm curious as to what he's aiming up for. Might be the QSS, but considering he picked up 900 gold, I wonder whether he actually is thinking more about the Runans.
Yeah, I mean, you could still go towards the Zeal if you wanted to go for that as well. The Cloud Dragon isn't up for another minute, but CJ just want to make sure that they stagger their recalls, make sure that they don't lose too much vision around here, as Nap takes the bottom tier turret as
That will even
well.
up the gold as well, I imagine, and it'll be back to all square in this game, which has been very back and forth, very even.
Yeah, and what we've seen is that CGA do like to do this tango with each of their teams, regardless of their standing, and just say, hey, we're going to team fight, we're going to have some really fun mechanical outplays, and it really just leads to some very fun games to watch.
Yes, it does. And once again, we've been quite impressed with Boogie outside of that one foolish death in the river up by Herald.
Okay, and you know what Gango was saving up for? A one-shot, as we call it. No one-shots here, but a one-shot onto the Runan's Hurricane. Has that fantastic, just great mid-game combo of the Blade of the Ruin King and the Runan's Hurricane. Allows you to stack up Rend stacks on multiple targets. Apply that on-hit damage of the Blade as well to each of them.
Sadly, no synergy with a Scorpion, with the Scorpion Skarner. Rock You Like a Hurricane would have been a wonderful bit of soundtrack there.
No.
Oh, come on, it was straight there.
No,
straight there would be good, but there's another cocoon onto Nap, but I'm not sure this Elise is very happy. Repels out, but is it so
Oh,
much
the chomp!
Flipping Feast was so disgusting. And now it is a
this is
3v4,
horrible.
and V3 are in so much trouble. The Sleepy Bubble trouble has landed over onto Reina, who is taking a lot of damage from Gango. And look at Ace over the back, trying to do as much damage. He's in there in the backline. Is this Jace, who's doing so much damage? Nap has got some decent triumph healing, but he's not going to be enough, and actually gets shut down. It is a 3-for-3.
Yeah, Gango gets actually caught out a little bit on the edge of that fight there, and it ends up actually being Grendel 1v1ing the AD carry to make things into a parity 3-for-3 fight. And even in the last CGA game, we saw a lot of fights going this kind of way as well. Gango trying to get up in the thick of things and brawl. Brawl with the other team does arrive to the fight a little bit late, does take down Reina and Archer though.
Yeah, and Ace found a great to the skies over the back of the Krug pit as well here, which was fantastic onto the top of Nap.
So, what happens here? Why is this important, right? So, if you are silenced, you cannot take a Thresh Lantern, and then he has to go up into the rappel, flashes away, but is still chomped down by the Cho'Gath. Not actually killed by that, so not giving another stack. And then Archer manages to just put out damage, and then the Ram Jam comes in to buy even more peel. Nap doesn't find this extra combo here, and as you were saying, Ace manages to find some really good damage onto the solo lanes of CGA. Nap trying to flash away, but doesn't quite manage to get over the wall, and does fall down as payment for that play.
Yep, and that turned out to be another one of those even mid-game fights
Yeah.
the CGA seemed to opt into out of nowhere.
I think we're gonna have to call this the CGA fight, where just randomly go 3 for 3 at some. It's fighting over like a red buff, guys. Come on.
Cool.
It does lead to a dragon going over to the side of V3.
So while gold has been pretty even, about 1,000k gold, 1,000k.
1,000k.
Wow,
that's
a big lead.
that's a lot.
1k gold lead. There we go. Conflated two ways of counting gold there. We have seen a pretty significant objective lead, at least when it comes to neutrals from CJ, but that's another Cocoon onto Nat. But he's a pretty tanky boy at this point.
Yeah,
has a right story and a stone plate complete at this point.
Yeah, although Grendel does take a bit more poke there, as we see the Shock Blast taking off a decent amount of HP from the Nautilus.
Yeah, Jace is 203. We were a little bit nervous about this Jace, but has actually picked up double lethality items. The Ghost Blade and the Dusk Blade of Drakthar are complete and doing a lot of damage. And of course, those ornaments are coming through. It is the infernal. It's the mod ledge. It's the infernal mask as well for the orn. And is it
Forge Fire Cape.
Forge Fire Cape.
See, I remember these.
I was thinking we knew it was something Cape, and I was like, no, it's not Sunfire Cape because that's the actual original name. But that's coming through, and that means those items are going to start hurting. And of course, Archer has been doing pretty good work on this Xayah so far. Has got an Essence Reaver complete alongside it.
Do you reckon if you could upgrade a Gunblade, it would just be still a Gunblade because the item's broken enough already?
Would it? Well, I know the new Final Fantasy remake's coming out. Would it be like? Would it turn into like Cloud's Gunblade? No, not Cloud's Gunblade. No, so it would be Leon's. No, that's Kingdom Hearts phrasing. That would be Squall's Gunblade. One of these days I'll get the right name. I went through multiple versions of Square Enix games there, but we're back on target as Arya is throwing some pretty meaningful poke out onto this Jace, who is feeling a little bit tender after that paddle star landed.
But now actually this Callista does have wave clear to start counter shoving as well. I'm kind of surprised that CGA are kind of grouping up in this mid lane. I guess it's because they don't have the teleport available, but it would be nice to see them clear out this top lane and make sure that's on the other side of the map in preparation for this. I think actually with the Cho'Gath they could potentially try and do Baron baits as well, but with the Jace poking out people could be a little bit dangerous.
Yeah, Zoe has cleaned up the blue buff, is heading towards that top wave as you were requesting, so that's going to be happening. Once again, we're seeing Arya, despite some problems with the rest of the team being a little bit back and forth, he himself has built himself up a very good CS leader, picked himself up a farm bounty, has gone Banshee second, which I kind of appreciate, prevents things catching him as he's dashing forwards, gives him a little bit of safety to actually jump forwards. But actually, Nap's been caught, and the Ram Jam has been caught. Nap's going up, has in fact still got the stone plates. That's a bit of a waste. And Grendel's looking to re-engage, but misses the dredge line, and that's a good route. But the depth charge is coming through, and Reyna is now taking a lot of damage. Gets shut down by Gango. Boogie comes through for a massive bite, though, onto Yoshi. He takes a lot of damage himself. But Gango is dancing, but that's a fantastic feather storm. And Boogie goes down. Arya slays the spider. It is a 2 for none so far. No, 2 for 1. But look at the damage coming in from this Zoe. Utterly insane.
Yeah, doesn't manage to take down Ace there, though. That was a game. That was a fight of inches. Gango probably about 100 HP from dying there. Boogie tried to go for the assassination after the stopwatch came off cooldown. Arya just using all the different items there to run faster towards wherever he needs to go.
Yeah, Gango burnt the heal to heal up his entire team, and they're thinking about this Baron. They do have a Callista, but it might be a bit risky. They did ping it, but they're backing away.
I don't think they want to do that now that Jace has the double lethality and also the Wraith Blade as well, upgraded that. So I do find it a little bit strange that they go for the pick onto Nap of all people. This guy is really, really tanky right now. So the Cocoon lands, the Ram Jam comes through, applies all the brittle stacks. But at this point, like, they've used their big disengage ultimate of the Ornn to try and pick off the really tanky top laner. It's Reyna who really suffers for this, doesn't have the flash available, and a good Trundle Pillar from Yoshi seals his fate. What we see here now is that Archer has a couple of his cooldowns back up, avoids the Nautilus hook very well, disengages himself from the fight, gets a lot of burst down to Gango, but Gango also lives through it as well.
Yeah.
And that's another CGA fight where it's just like fighting over pretty much nothing ends up in an even fight.
And Arya has picked herself up Proto Belt active because, of course, so he has.
Yeah. And we do actually see the QSS picked up by Gango now, which is really important.
And we're looking at the blasting one's being picked up for this Zoe. possibly thinking about a Void Staff. There is a fair amount of magic resist picked up.
Yeah, I think you have to.
Yeah, I mean, specifically on the side of this Ornn, who's kind of in front of a lot of Merc Treads coming through for the likes of, or one Merc Treads in the likes of Jace as well. Can understand that predilection for going for some early magic pen.
Yeah, so we have 3 items on Archer now. That's the real thing to watch on the side of V3. They're actually very strong at fighting front to back if Archer gets to get a lot of damage off. We saw in that last fight, actually, very close to...
damage.
Yeah, just picking up the Proto Belt as you do as Zoe and chunking out some damage. The Banshee's not the highest damage item, so probably will have to be the Void Staff next if you want to keep relevant in that. You're right.
V3 are going to have to contest here as we are seeing the Cloud Soul on the table for CGA and their early objective control paying dividends in that regard.
They're stacking up Rend already, though. This is probably gone.
Nap's there. Look at the Ram Jam coming through.
Oh, Nap!
And Nap found his way to the backline. This is a nightmare. Look at the feast. Archer's in trouble, taking a lot of damage. Flashes into
Gango!
And Gango is doing so much work. But look at this. Elise Ace is here. And Cho'Gath has shut down the Archer. But for whatever reason, we have frozen slightly here. But I think we're going to catch up. And let's see what the response is. It is a 1 for none, a 2 for none currently. Or 2 for 1. And look at the fight continuing. Nap is on that blast plan. Look at the damage to Ace from Arya as well. The bubble is just shy passes here, and look at the damage.
Oh, Arya!
Great flash, and Boogie is out, but he has to repel the rupture. But look at the paddle star coming through as well. And Yoshi all this time is just soloing up the Cloud Soul. It is a 3 for 2 in the end of that.
These are
or maybe a 2 for 2 actually.
I think it's a 2 for 2 at the end of it, but it is the Cloud Soul going the way of CGA. What a just a back and forth. This is like WWE just kind of throwing each other over the railing back and forth. And we're going into the replay now. There was so much stuff to keep track of here. So we see Arya gets poked out at the start of this, but Nap has found his way outside of vision. So the Ram Jam comes through, the Rupture comes through, and a lot of damage comes down to Reyna, unfortunately, of all people. Nap uses his feast already onto Archer there just to try and pin him down a little bit longer. The Rupture does land onto Archer here, which is so huge. He takes out Gango, his opposing AD carry, but Yoshi just manages to solo out the Xayah after that point. And with the Xayah down, a lot of their consistent damage goes with it. Grendel falls as well here, but Arya is picking up so many summoners. He flashes over, picks up another flash as well here to pick up what this just, you've heard of the American sniper. Here is the Japanese sniper of Arya as well. Actually, I think he's Korean in origin, but he's in the LJL, so we'll claim him for our own. And this is now the Cloud Soul over to CGA at the end of that fight.
And while the one shot for Callista was the Runaan's Hurricane, she's done what you asked her to, and she has picked up a QSS third here.
Yeah, actually had it available.
Alive.
Yeah, actually had that for the last fight, but didn't save her there. A lot of damage coming out just from the raw auto attacks of Archer.
I was distracted by the technical fireworks show on screen. And we're all squaring kills. We're 1,000 gold lead for V3, but it is Cloud Soul over to CGA.
Yeah.
I'm going to give the advantage to now for CGA, but this game is still open to either team winning.
Well, the thing is, though, actually, Archer is just putting up enough damage for his whole team right now. He's cutting through a lot of these tanks very well on these 3 items, which get him to that 75% crit mark. And he has just so much extra damage with the Ornn upgrade as well.
Yeah, and of course those Ornn upgrades are going to continue to come through as this game progresses. But Callista now completed a GA as well, which is a huge deal. And of course, this Cho'Gath is only going to get tankier.
Yeah.
The Zoe is still extremely strong. So Archer has to be so careful how he's using his abilities, how he's positioning. Has picked up the rapid fire cannon now, which should keep him at least able to auto attack from a little bit longer range every now and then.
I actually think he had that coming into the last fight as well, which is what, he did have that, which is why he was doing so much damage. But now he's actually picked up the last Whisper.
Yes, he will in that case have the rapid fire in the last fight.
Yes, so he's now onto 3.5 items and probably able to chunk through a lot of Nap's HP bar as well.
Good utility pick from Jace as well, who has picked up a Black Cleaver, which will be really helpful at shredding the armor for Ace to be really, or not Ace, Archer to be taking out the Cho'Gath, who is going to be a very tanky boy otherwise.
Yeah, and I think that basically both these teams are looking to get the first foot into the area where they're trying to fight around these objectives. They're not really trying to peel off into side lanes, as sometimes you do see with these very heavy tanks and split pushes into the late game of Cho'Gath and Jace.
Yeah, but of course, the objective control, just compositionally, will still lie in the hands of Crest Gaming Act. And we have to see whether V3 can kind of fight their way to a victory despite that objective edge that CGA will have just naturally as they take down this mid tier 1 finally.
Yeah, and you know what the terrifying thing about this game is? That actually a single bubble could just win the game for CGA. If it lands onto Ace or it lands onto Archer, gets them just nuked before a fight starts, they could just make this into a 4v5 just off of this raw damage of this Zoe pick.
But there is, as we said, a lot of damage and strength on the side of V3 too, who have got a couple carries more than willing and ready to carry. But Baron now started. This objective control machine starts rolling one more time. V3 are just pushing down mid wave.
They are
Nap's
really
in
scared
behind,
to check
and
this.
they don't know where he is. He found one fantastic flank in the last dragon fight. But look at Arya going and throwing down that bubble. Lisa's going to land on it. Gets taken by the bubble. Nap is coming up. Throws the rupture down. But look at the fight in the rest of it. V3 are
Boogie's dead.
but Boogie is dead. It's a 1-for-1.
So 1-for-1 at the end of it, and actually Nap uses his ult to kill the jungler. It's the jungle for support trade, although actually this could be a flash forward onto Nap here.
Can they kill him? He's still got flash. Are you sure you want to do this? He has got a lot of damage, and he's got the cloud here. He's going to keep running away as CGA back around to keep their top laner safe. Are they backing back to the dragon? No, they're not, but that's a fair amount of damage. Actually, not really. Paz currently very tanky. I was expecting that to sit a lot harder than it did. But
It does have the Warmogs as well.
It does have the Warmogs.
The poke does not mean as much as it could do. And yet we saw that Nap was in position for a good flank there. But honestly, Paz with the hero ultimate there, just dragging it across 3-4 members of the team, meant that CGA had to be then playing on the back foot.
Yeah, Zoe has completed the Void Staff, but is nowhere near a death cap yet, when that'll be her next major spike for mad damage. But it does mean she's currently at a very strong point, at least versus these squishier members. If Jace gets hit, those Mercury treads are going to mean very little. And could absolutely be blown up. But this game is still very close as we tick into 34 minutes in this game. Doesn't feel like it's been that long, though.
It's been very tense the whole way, though, and both of these teams now feel like they do have the damage to wrestle control of this game out from the other team. And we see V3
start it, and actually they finally have position on an objective.
TP from Trigger.
But the TP is through, and they're going to back away, having taken that objective away. But the Elder Drake spawns in 20 seconds now, and that'll be another major objective. But CGA start up, Ren stacks are going, Nap has his ultimate available, Yoshi has his smite available. This is a hard contest for V3, but they're looking for a fight. Another Sleepy Bubble lands, but that's a good Bellows Breath to time that out. Boogie taking a lot of damage, and an Ignite from Arya is down to about half HP from that whole trade. But yeah, Ace is around the back, but is forced away, and V3 back towards this mid lane, and where they have priority. And potentially looking for this mid lane tier 2 that's on solo. But look at Nap's steamrolling forward, flashes, but so does Ace coming now, and the rupture is late, and the Lantern gets him out. But this Elder Drake is alive, spawning. Significantly more important. And look at the Ram Jam come through, but it's a rupture as well. Paz now being caught out, taking damage, is now in the front line trying to stay alive. But look at the damage from Zoe in the back, and a fantastic face call does a lot of knock-up. Archer does mad damage, is so much damage, and that healing is going to burst. Not enough. He's down to the GA, and look at the damage. Archer's running over this fight. It's going to be a clean ace. Look at Yoshi still alive, running away, and that is a 4-for-0. What a fight from V3.
And Archer shoots them down, one-man army, and he's sitting at 6-9 after that fight. Hero playing the team fight will net them the win over CGA.
And we called it. We said there was going to be a close game. We thought it would be through jungle difference, and it was early. But later on, it was Archer on this Xayah doing so much more work, trying to stop him as Yoshi, but he just gets blown up. And that will be it. GG V3. What a fantastically close game.
And as we come out of game now, I'd like to bring it back to Mass 1 to take us through that.
What a phenomenal game. That was Teamfight Central. For so long I thought Crest had that edge, but V3 weren't going down, and their AD carry just said, no, my Xayah is going to always find the picks. I'm always going to find the right placement, and neither team needed Baron or Elder Drake at the end of that. They did all this posturing, and then in the end, didn't matter. 4-for-0. Congratulations to V3.
Yeah, that's that's a big name to take as well. And as we said, this was a benchmark game. How good are V3? We've seen them lose against some of the better teams, a win versus some of the weaker ones. But now they've taken a big name in CGA, someone that we thought is, well, we still think is a top 4 team. We think they are very competent at carrying around Gango and Aria. But this game, Archer was the man to watch. He just shredded the team of CGA going into the later stages of that game.
Yeah, it hit a point, right, where Archer would kill tanks faster than Gango would, and that was a serious problem. And like, when you're so focused on objective control, but it takes you 34 minutes to really start contesting a Baron, with the kind of mid-game heavy damage focus you did have with the Callista and the Zoe, I suppose. Like, the fact that they couldn't secure one of those Barons and really solidify a lead, it was very even in gold throughout that game, despite the objective lead for CGA. V3 scaled. They hit the team fights where CGA could no longer kill the Ornn in the front line, where Zoe's bubbles weren't doing enough work, and cleaned up the late game team fights.
And that was an amazing performance by V3 Esports. But with that in mind, we're going to see them in our 4th and final game for our stream of the LJL officially unofficial. We're going to have V3 Esports versus Rascal Jester. And it's going to be a very interesting way to see if we can get V3 to potentially be the first team to go 2-2 in this week for this group of 4, or is it going to be a 1-1 group? We'll find out right after this break. Catch you very soon.